It's the weekend. It's Mailbag. It's Friday. The sun's shining. We've made it. I'm joined this week by Dave and Foxy. Apologies for Keith. He can't make it. Dargan's not well. He can't make it. Warren is AWOL, so probably he can't make it. But you know, it's a good three. It's a solid three-part of a five-a-side team.
I think Warren's out getting some socks for the weekend. If anybody listened to what he was talking about,
we'll pick that up later, because if anyone's watching on YouTube, they won't have seen last week's show. But we'll pick that up later. I'll do some house. We'll pick it up later. I'll do some housekeeping first. If you are watching on YouTube, please do subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you can. Leave us a comment. We always try and get back to those. It's always nice to speak to everyone, especially after Mailbag. If you're listening on Patreon, go and subscribe to the YouTube. It's free. And if you're listening on YouTube, see what the Patreon's all about. You know, it's a nice bit of reciprocity, I think the word is. Anyway, right. A few questions to start off on Everton's. God, it's been a long week. To start off on Everton's grounds, past and present. Intriguing, eh? So, Stu asked, bang, there it is. What song or music would you have artificially piped into an event you were at to make the atmosphere sound better than it actually was?
Ooh.
I missed this. Did it happen?
Yeah, well, at the derby, right? So
yeah,
they meant to put the music in. I think, I don't know if it's too personal, but maybe my first wedding could have had a bit more kind of background music in there, volume going through with some of the songs. When I read this from like a Goodison perspective and like moving to new ground. I am genuinely worried about this. It's a genuine concern. I think that the balance of Goodison with the park end, and I know, Les, you feel like I'm picking on you with this, and I largely am, just to be fair. But the balance between the park end and the Gladys, I think a lot of people from the park end are moving across to the Gladys. Are we still going to have that kind of north-south divide in the stadium? Where are the boos going to come from?
Yeah,
that's my big question. So if we need to just pipe through some boos at halftime, just to make sure we all feel comfortable, and then we can join in with that process.
Yeah, do you know, I'm all for that, actually. Yeah, if the booing isn't of a sufficient volume, because maybe it's too spread out.
We're 2-0 down, first game against West Ham, and everyone's a bit unsure, because they're trying to keep it nice and polite. We need some boos piped in just to get us back into that. And I think then second half, we'll pick up again and we'll kind of crack on with it. But
I'm into that. I'll tell you what, one thing about the new ground, so at the second test event, you were there, weren't you, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed how quiet it was when the game kicked off. It was silent. No one was speaking. It was mad. Yeah. And I do worry that if it's quiet, it's very, very quiet.
It's going to be like that for a few games, I think. Well, the first match, everyone's going to be going nuts, aren't they, when Z-Cars comes on and all that. But I do find it quite humorous what you were saying then, Foxy, about what happens in terms of where everybody's going to be located around the stadium, and it's almost like you've got to go and make new friends at the start of school, isn't it? And sort of say, you going to shout boos? I'm going to shout boos as well. Are you going to shout boos? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The first game is just going to be loads of people like pursing their lips and just nodding to people around them.
Either that or a load of scraps saying, why are you booing? What kind of blue are you booing? What I do find funny is that we've spoken quite a lot, I think, about how the roof is being designed like really, high tech these days, where the noise echoes in and around it. And I'm just thinking, when booing starts, they just put a couple of speakers in up there, and they come down into the ground, so you don't hear the boos anywhere as bad as what they want it to be. But I do feel it's like, I'd like to know. I don't know. I suppose he could provide that information, couldn't he? Like, who's moved to where? Like, what particular part of the ground have you now moved to? Because I would expect, like yourself, Les, who's just sort of like held on to the coattails of those who've not been at your infamous park end, have gone to the new part of the ground.
Infamous park end.
I'm gonna be next to Les at Bramley Moor, so I'm going to have plenty of evidence to tell you what he's like as an Everton fan.
I'm a dickhead.
He gets off. I'm going to work out the average time of game when he leaves
they say football can bring out the worst in you. My God, does it bring out the worst in me? Honestly,
it is really funny, Foxy. This is really funny because I was really paranoid at saying, "Can I sit next to you, please, Les?" Thinking he's too nice of a guy to say no, but am I just being a bellend to say I'd like to sit next to you? So we ultimately, I felt much more comfortable when I had to get to his for 10:10 on the 12th of February, so we could get our tickets sorted, wasn't it, Les? It was quite funny, that, wasn't it?
It was mad. It was a crazy morning. That I took the day off for that because it was that panicky about it going wrong and needing to phone up and stuff. Took the whole day off.
Yeah. The best croissants I've ever had in my life. That, by the way.
Oh, my dad bakes them.
Oh, wow. Unbelievable.
Right. Next question. Stephen has asked, what stage of Goodison grief are you in? He's currently in denial. Acceptance for me, I think. Foxy?
I'm looking forward to going. It's kind of a personal thing. One, I've got season tickets in a new place, so I'm looking forward to be able to get there. And right now, it's as a member rather than a season ticket holder, it is so hard to get tickets. I'm spending literally hundreds of pounds a time to get a ticket, which is ridiculous. I probably spent for 2 games almost as much as a season ticket for next year.
It's
like ridiculous. Bringing a few because so I'm kind of at the point. At the West Ham game, I thought it was going to be my last game. So I was kind of looking around in the Gladys. I was looking about at different bits. I was looking in the Upper Billands where I first went to watch a game with my dad and kind of just looking at different points of being. And I was actually getting to a point of being quite emotional. And the most emotional point was just before kickoff, sirens, egg cars, it comes on and you watch everyone stand up. And you're at the point that everyone is the same position as you. You're all kind of excited for the game. You're ready to go. Everyone rises. And I wasn't watching the players. I was just watching around the ground. Yeah. And when you're there for the Southampton game, if you don't choke at that point when everyone stands with you, when they come out, you're different to me. Because I found that really quite tough. I'm now actually going to go to the Ipswich game. So I didn't need to go through that for that game. But there are points when you're there. And for you guys with season tickets, you'll be sitting next to the people that you sit next to. And probably next year you're not. Yeah, and you'll be standing up with them for that point, looking at them. There'll be some tears. There'll be some throats to that point, holding it back.
That's going to be the killer for me. I actually bumped into a guy who sits just in front of us at the test event. Asked him where he was sitting, and he sort of basically the opposite end to us, like directly opposite us. It's like people, we've had our season ticket there for 10 years now. Seeing these people every other week for 10 years and might never see them again. I do find that like already dead sad.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I think it's acquaintances more than friends. I think from certainly from my point of view, because where I've sat for 10 years, of being like this older lad and his son, and really a generational thing in and around we are. The kind of thing where, you said, hello, how are you? But that's as far as it ever really gets until you're talking about what goes on in the game. I think that's quite a common thing for most. But in regards to the question there, do you know what? I don't know if it certainly seemed to be this way in the last couple of days, but I'm definitely in the minority when I say this. I think that it's lingered. It's lingering for me because it, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, because I want it to be the whole symphony we're going to get at the end of it. Everything that's going to happen in and around it, the legends, everyone walking around, trying to get your actual seat itself that you've had for years and all that sort of thing. I just want it to happen now because we know it's coming, if you get what I mean. And we've got this Arsenal game's probably the only traditional fixture we've got. Because we've got the last 3: Ipswich, Southampton, and
Man City.
Man City, maybe a bit of a half-assed shout you can go for there to say it's a traditional fixture, but Arsenal is one of the big originals here tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one that always has a decent atmosphere and everything, isn't it? The Arsenal game, it's always
the year dot opposition, and I'd like to think that is one that should evoke memories for many people, given that it is one of the old games and they had a traditional stadium. And Much in the same way, they've gone to a new one and they really struggled, didn't they? The first few games they got in there as well with the atmosphere and even results. I think that they struggled to sort out early doors. So maybe there's something to learn from that. But I was going to ask you, Foxy, so have you got a season ticket?
Yeah, I've got 3. So I've got me and 2 of the kids in the family stands. We're kind of family stand back row. So we can stand up through the game if we want, and then we can sit
When
down. So
when did you get it? At what stage were you able to get it?
So I've been a member for 7 years. So
Right.
that membership waiting list. My number's like 208. So I'm like the 200th member on the.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of like yeah. Well, I was able to get them that first group of memberships that are available for like post the season ticket ones.
Do you know what gets me about that process was that I was still so paranoid and so nervous about it when it's safe, and the thing when me and Les were going through it with his dad, and the lads there in Israel, like, you can't log on.
Yeah.
And then we were all looking at each other almost like someone needs to draw the short straw and log back out and log back in and see if it works, and it actually did, didn't it?
I tell you what, though, it's absolute. That was an absolute dream compared to the ticketing system for members.
Oh yeah.
I had to go for the City game. My God, it was like it just didn't let you in. It didn't tell you it was sold out, and then I checked on Twitter at half-time. It's like, yeah, it's sold out. It's like, it's incredible.
Then you look at the third-party websites, and there's hundreds on there for like 300 quid a pop.
It's so on top. It's outrageous. But yeah.
Well, what can you imagine it's going to be like opening day next season? Do you know, if you're looking, well, firstly, if you're looking for a walk-up, I know that they're trying to, the system they've got now is taking away touts out the game, but obviously someone's going to find a way to sell on a ticket if they want to. Can you imagine how much, if you were to walk up to try and get a ticket for that, the prices are just going to be ridiculous.
The thing is, I mean, we won't go on about this too long. We'll move on now. But the touts per se aren't the problem. It's the entirely legal ticket resale sites that are the problem. Whether you want to go to a gig or a football match or any event, they are the big issue because they are the ones who somehow get tickets. Sort of, I mean, there's been loads of investigative programs into this, hasn't there? And, even before the tickets have gone on sale, these sites have got a bundle of tickets ready to go as soon as the others have sold out. So that's the real issue. But the big companies, so they will not get stopped. I wrote a thing on this in 2014, I think it was, when I was working at Money Supermarket, and I got an interview with a fella from, I think it might have been Viagogo, and he didn't like what I wrote about it because he thought we'd left this interview on good terms, and I was just basically saying, "Nah, you scumbags" in this article. So he got in touch and wasn't happy. But anyway, yeah.
But you know what? Let's just before we carry on there about the less serious questions. Rob, our mate Rob, who comes over every year to watch a game. I mean, that I'd imagine that's going to be quite a difficult situation, isn't it, for him to sort out getting obviously through all of us, I would like to think, able to get him one. Yeah. But it'll be a hell of a lot different than it is now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's probably going to be the case where you're going to have to affiliate with the North American Evertonians or something like that. With them. But he likes to come over on his own and do his own thing, Rob, doesn't he? So we'll be able to sort him.
I'll say it now because I'm not sure if he listens or not. But I'm willing to donate mine if he needs it, if it gets to that stage. I don't mind doing that for him. He does it every single year. And he's like the United States blue of blues, isn't he? So I'd never begrudge him getting into a game if I could help him.
Yeah, and Foxy, your kids will love standing by the wall as well.
Yeah.
That's one thing
against it when we're losing
for that because they're not against the back wall anymore. So
I'm quite excited for that too.
Yeah, it'd be good. Right, moving on. Ian, Toffee Mod, Bainesy, top club singer on the Northeast Supporters coach. What would be your ideal match day food if you could choose it at the new stadium next season? Dave,
I mean, I'm not going to go down the traditional route of what I say every single time food's referred to. When it comes to what you should get in and around Goodison Park or an away game, I would take it with you, but I won't even say the words.
Dave, say it. Let's get a George Jerry's concession.
George Jerry's, and it's closer as well. I think it's closer. It? Basically, I don't know if it is closer or not.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's not.
No, actually, I don't think it's closer because when you get out, if you get out of Goodison, it's like Bootle's next door. Whereas I know we're parallel to the Mersey, but then you'd have to go along the Dock Road and then up towards Bootle the other way. But there, yeah, I mean, I was funny enough, I was only there last week, and I was I was getting me traditional mixed kebab and talking to the owner and other staff who I've become best friends with over the years. And I was saying to her, you're not doing anything here, because I'm always singing your praises. Genuinely, I'll send you the records off this. Just trying to like throw it in and say, could do with a bit of a freebie here, because I'm here every week, and I talk about you every single mailbag and other shows that we have. And he said, "Oh, it was really weird." They were like, "Well, don't worry. There's something in the can. There's something in the can that we're going to be doing." I was thinking, are they going to do deliveries? Because it could be the end of me if they do. If they do deliveries up here to Heighton, then that's you can write me up now, because that is the best place you can go to, as we all know. But aside from that, and I did prepare for this question, given that I don't know if many are frustrated or bored by me banging on about George Jerry's, but you did ask me to do so, Les. So in my defence, that's why I would actually like a quality hot dog. Like a really like,
that's a shout.
Really nice hot dog. Like
have you been to Albert Schloss in town? The hot dogs there are spot on.
They're great, Hardy. Even the other week we got random. You get emails from various companies and whatnot. And Frankie and Benny's, I'm not really a fan of it. It used to be all right, but not really a fan of it. And we went there because we had this 40% off sort of thing, and I got a hot dog from there, and it was fantastic. And I was sitting there thinking, do you know what? It's not actually difficult to make a really good hot dog, is it? It's not a difficult, process of making a hot dog that people.
You can get Elton ones from Lidl.
Oh yeah. And obviously you think of, is it IKEA that still do them? Is it IKEA or Costco as well?
Costco, I think.
Yeah, I mean the
over the road.
Sorry,
it's only over the road. Costco.
Yeah, well there you go now. Yeah, it's ideal there. The club should be all over that. That's the other thing as well to throw towards the club is you need to have a look at the alternatives in and around the stadium there, because I think one of the things we were talking about was the walk from the train stations. Nobody's gonna go with the blinkers on to get to the stadium without stopping at a boozer on the way, or without stopping at somewhere where you can get better food than you can when they get to the ground. So they need to have some sort of competitive effort, don't they?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to put one thing out there as well. 10th Street Social can knock it on the head. £6 a pie as well. First test event, £6 for like a little pork pie. Pack it in.
Can you bring your own food in?
Yeah, you'll be able to. Yeah, kind of Goodison. So
they're not checking you. Well, say they're not checking your bags. They're going to check your bags, but they're not going to say you're not allowed to bring your own food in, are you? Especially if it's like a particular food that you can eat. Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought so. Just say you've got an allergy, and that's all you can eat.
Yeah.
Foxy?
I had hot dogs as well. I think partly because the hot dogs at Goodison, they look great, and they are so bad. They are so bad. That foot long, like the kids get them all the time, and they kind of get halfway through it and they offer it to me. And normally I would go, "Yeah, I'll take your hot dog." I'm like, "It's all right." I can go
my issue with those footlongs is there's no dignified way to eat one of them, so I'm not even going to try.
But do you not think is because I've not had one of them there, surprisingly, in the stadium. They look like the type that you get out of a jar with the
it's the bread
type, just like a bit shit.
No, they are. They're very shit, and I think like the bread that goes with them,
they're very shit.
They've been left out for like a week in the sun, and they're just stale and horrible and tasteless. I think for the foods, I've not been to the stadium yet, but I've seen a few pictures. Some of it looks quite fancy, and like I don't think it needs to be. I think if they're trying to make money and not make it too expensive, they don't have to do very fancy stuff.
Yeah,
just do stuff that people like that doesn't need to cost a fortune. Doesn't cost a fortune. Just actually work out, because the danger for them, I think they want to keep people in the stadium, don't they? They want to maximize revenues on a match day, and that will fix the transportation issues because everyone's coming in and leaving at the same time.
Yeah,
but if you price it or pitch it too high, you know, if you ever watch The Apprentice and they kind of do a thing, and they're going to go away and sell something to people, and they pitch an activity at 80 quid a person, and people are going to spend 20 quid. They just need to work out that stuff to get the levels right, and not trying to pitch to a market that isn't there, and pitch to the one that is there, and just do it good and simple, and people will buy it, and it'll be fine. Like a cheeseburger, a good hot dog, wonderful.
Yeah, Foxy, get you in as CEO, mate. I'm telling you, because that's.
I was just going to say that, but I also think that it's. I mean, I know a lot of fans who make a point of not getting anything from a game at all, no food or drink from a match, and I completely get that for every reason you've just said there, Foxy. About I don't think it's difficult to put it in a way you've just said. Then, like, can you not just simply go back to basics on how you prepare food and sell it, and then look at your numbers at the end of a week, thinking, oh, that's done quite well, and maybe then you start looking at thinking, well, do you know what? If we're getting X amount of thousands are having those hot dogs, let's make more of them. Yeah, maybe then you start looking at, all right, we'll put a quid on top of that. You start getting it then because you've got a point of sale there where people are thinking, do you know what? I'm not going to miss getting that hot dog because I absolutely adore it when I go to the game. And it becomes a routine for everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then it's not just a hot dog, it's a drink you get with it. It's the people that you're with who do the same thing, and it just builds up.
I think bowl of scouts in the winter for me. That's the one. Right, moving on to a topic we hopefully won't have to cover next season. What's with Harrison's top knot? Is he doing similar to that United fan who isn't cutting his hair until they win 5 in a row, but he's not cutting his until he puts a decent cross in? Scathing, Dan, but completely fair enough. I threw my opinion out on Wednesday night about this. It clearly means he's definitely going back to Leeds. That's as simple as that for me.
I mean, I give him credit because, like, the last time I saw him play, I didn't think his hair was that long.
No,
so I'm generally quite jealous of how he managed to go from like nowhere near a top knot to having a top knot. Fair play, well done.
He's ridiculously well groomed and hair stewed.
Like I would have been
good. This put me in mind of. Do you remember Alan Cork? Early 90s.
Oh yeah.
92-93 season. Yeah. He wouldn't shave his beard until Sheffield United got knocked out of the FA Cup and he got to the semis. So he had a proper Father Christmas beard by the end of the season. Bald head. He looked about 60 in that. That was a belter of a Sheffield United kit as well with the ties, the drawstring collar. Yeah, they got knocked out by Sheff Wed 2-1 in the semi and he scored Sheffield United's goal. So he had a good season there. But yeah, I think maybe Jack Harrison should do that. Imagine Jack Harrison with a beard. Christ.
Well, do you know, it was interesting because yesterday, it's the time of year when they put on the like games of the season and all that. And what they put on was like now famous semi-final when Bielsa was in charge of Leeds and there was the spy gate stuff with Lampard and manager Derby. But the two legs were absolutely brilliant and Derby went to Elland Road and won it. And I was watching it and Harrison was playing for Leeds. And I was watching like they absolutely adore him there.
Yeah,
he's like he's up there with who was there, Bremner or something like that.
Alan Smith.
What?
Alan Smith.
Yeah, Paducah. They look at him and think, do you know what? This lad's one of the best. I don't know whether he's home. Is he homebred? Is he? I don't think he is he?
It's Manchester, isn't he?
Is he?
I don't know. He sounds
like I mean, and he played really well in that game. And I was thinking, do you know what? That is your level. That is your level. And he did have the Brill cream on and all that, proper. He's gone the same as, I think, Harry Kane went that way, but also Pickford for us. I think he had the same, Pickford, who has it now. But Pickford can pull it off because he's a decent player. I just think you get to a stage there where you're putting... You've got to have it at a sufficient length before you actually have a go at doing it, haven't you, really? And I just
we can only dream of, Dave.
It's just that, well, that's it. I mean... It's a reflection of how shit he is.
Yeah,
for Everton.
I do think for him though, when he was at Leeds, he was decent, wasn't he? And I remember watching him for Leeds, thinking he's a decent player. I think he struggles. I'm not going to be like Jack Harrison defence, but I think he struggles. One, we play him in the wrong position all the time, right wing. He is not a right winger, and we play him without any overlapping fullbacks. So he's not got anyone to help him out. When he was with Leeds, they would bomb forward, wouldn't they? Yeah. They would like full on attack. They concede a shitload of goals, but they're full on attack.
Yeah.
He's not playing that kind of team because he's not good at decisions. He's not good at passing. which is a fairly basic part of football.
As we saw Wednesday night. Doesn't help himself.
And we've seen every game with him. He's like, passing isn't his strength, like Decore or Beto. And I think in a team that plays to like his style, like Leeds did when they were just like bomb, 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 attack, then he's all right. But for us, he's
do you know what? You just raised a very good point there. Like people sort of say, why don't Everton want more possession? You've got Beto, Decore and Jack Harrison in the team. You do not want the ball, do you?
Doesn't suit their footballing ability, does it?
Absolutely not. Christ. Right, Maggie's roundup. Here we go.
Yeah.
Part 1, no less. So this is a bit of a truncated part 1 because Warren's question can't be answered. I'll go on to mine, which is le plus belle thing you like about La France. Everything. It was incredible.
Was it? I mean, do you know what? I'm so interested.
I've been before. I've been before, and I just don't remember it being that good. It was.
Where'd you go, Liz?
What's that?
Where'd you go?
Paris. So, like, just somewhere dead, sort of routine, capital city break, but it was just incredible. Snails, they're shite. Wouldn't have them again. The food's good. Air were brilliant. So yeah, actually, I think the best thing about France is the music. So French house and French electronic, you cannot beat it. But yeah, just everything about it was just incredible. So
you know, it's so interesting you've said this because you're probably the only person I know, and obviously you're trustworthy of your opinion, that so many have said to me that they can't stand Paris, given that it's a bit of a shithole in around the outside of it.
It was so not the main. So I mean
But like, is it not like that in London? You can imagine London, the arse end of London. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Every capital, Liverpool, you know what I mean? Every major city is going to have that.
Well, once you get into the residential areas, you're clearly going to have nice bits, bad bits. It's just everywhere's like that. I think the best place in Paris though is Montmartre. So just like very like on a massive hill, just loads of little winding streets, loads of little bars. I'd like the most French experience ever. We were sat in a square eating. I had a croque madame, and there was people to the left of me painting, like passers-by and stuff. And then some fella started walk around playing an accordion. It was like something off Hello. It was mad. But yeah, I think Montmartre is the best there. Is
it expensive, Les?
Yeah, it was like €9 a pint. You need to knock that in the head.
Bramley Moore tips.
Honestly, well, I was in London yesterday, and it's $7.60 a pint there.
Where did you go for that cheap?
That's pretty standard, that, for a pint, to be honest.
Is it?
Yeah, $7.60.
I thought the average would be more expensive than that.
So it's probably about
it's still a shocker.
About £1.50 more than here, isn't it? Really?
Was that it?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's my French experience. Dave's pavement. Your favourite walk up to a footy ground aside from Goodison Park? It's got to be Brighton, Dave. Come on.
My word, mate. To tell you what, that was. It was that bad getting back to the car. We actually got a taxi that cost us about 60 quid, didn't we? Just to go in the same direction. Shuttle bus. I didn't like Arsenal when I thought I would. Didn't like City when I thought it'd be pretty straightforward, but there's a car park quite a distance away and it was about -10 that day. Villa, I like Villa. And do you know where the most useful one that I've been to is? West Brom. West Brom's got to be the easiest, most comfortably accessible stadium because it's there when you come off the motorway. There are a lot of industrial estates in and around the stadium where you can park your car. I don't even think I had to pay to park my car there. Loads of spaces. It's not the biggest of stadiums. And a couple of boozers in and around it. Easy to go into. I think the away end's fine. Just what you want when you go away from home. None of this arsing round. And, when you're thinking, do you know what? I don't know if that's a decent place to go into and all that. But just going back to Villa, there's a pub, I think, for the away fans. It's about half a mile up the road from where the away end is. I'm sure one of the listeners here will get in touch and let me know what the name of it is. But in the pub, they have the home side and the away side of it, and I really enjoyed that because it's got a garden at the back and all that sort of thing. So, bit of a toss between the Midlands there. Wolves is a stinker, but I think the rest of it is anyway.
Villa's just a great stadium as well, isn't it?
Oh, Villa's I hope Villa never get a new ground. Villa's one of the best to go to, best of ways to go to. Winning there is magic.
Yeah,
winning there is terrific when you go to Aston Villa. They're probably the two that stick out in my mind there. What I've mentioned, London clubs, much of a muchness, I think. Fulham. Matt Jones would kill me not for mentioning this.
Fulham's great.
I've not been, but Fulham, obviously right on the Thames, and apparently there's boozers left, right, and centre and around it on a day like this.
I caught me in that class. Yeah.
But like we've got to mention Spurs. I think we've mentioned about 8 million times, haven't we? Compared to Bramley Moore, but with it having its own booze there. But having said that, I mean, I got a little bit of a feeling that it was in and around Goodison with the way the houses are and all that. It was like that, wasn't it? Where we parked, it was like that they just like put one in.
Yeah, they built on the corner
of a helicopter. You just plonked it in the middle of just a normal terraced housing, and then you've got to go underneath it, and there's a Sainsbury's there, and another Stinkers Palace as well.
I thought it's all right round Palace.
Oh, I remember when I went, because it was opening day of the season, I think, a few years ago.
Yeah, we went down. We all went down in the car.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's Sainsbury's, and then you had to march up a hill. And let's face it, I'm not in the greatest of shape. I nearly rolled back to the Sainsbury's to have to go back to the car.
Just quickly on Villa. I've told this probably about 1 million times, but I'll say it again anyway, because it makes me sound like a knobhead, which is fine. You know, like Whitton Station is like 5 minutes down the road. You can't. You walk out. You turn one way. You go to Whitton Station. You're back to New Street. Me and my mates went to watch an England game there. We walked out, went the wrong way. Just kept following the crowd, half cut, just talking to each other, kept following the crowd till the crowd thinned out. And we ended up in Perry Bar, which is like 3 miles away from the ground. It was kind of early days of sat-nav on your phone. So kind of checked where it was and saw we were miles away from anywhere. Went into a kebab shop, asked if we could use the phone to phone a taxi. Fella goes, "We've got a taxi in the back." So we're like, "Yeah, go ahead then." And good enough. Like,
that seemed too easy. That seemed far too easy for some fellas to say, "I've got a taxi."
I know. Well, we thought, are we going to be kebab meat? But yeah, he just had this mare out the back, just ran us to New Street, and we made our train by about 2 minutes. But yeah, Villa's a great stadium. It's a good walk as well. Dargan's delicacies, we can't do that one because he's throwing up. Maybe he's had some delicacies and that's why he's ill. Keith, helicopters discussed. I'll pick this one up. Probably second only to submarines and a little bit ahead of natural disasters in ridding the earth of billionaires. So I am all for them. Right.
Can I just throw one in there with helicopters?
Okay.
I only found this out recently. So there was a lad from our school who became a drug addict. Became like a drug lord.
There's a big difference there.
Yeah. Well, I think he's just like, he just progressed his career. But anyway, this is rumored that he was like cock of the school, and he went on to obviously be a drug lord, so like making a fair few quid and all that. And what reached my ears were that he was on his he was on his graft and all that, giving his stuff out. So I'm saying that like I'm a drug addict myself there, and he was on his graft. He was going around places selling crack cocaine, and I'm not sure if he had like a bad dose of it or whatever it was, but as fact goes, because I've investigated this a little bit, thinking, do you know what, it's one of those sorts of tales you hear from school. It's not really true. Apparently he got in that much of a state on Southport Road, which many will know where Southport Road is in Bootle, that a helicopter had to come and pick him up and take him to Fazakerley Hospital.
Jesus.
Now I was thinking, oh wow, okay, that's quite clearly not true, because Fazakerley Hospital is no more than 3 miles away from Southport Road by Hillside School where I went to. So it's urban legend that this might well have happened. But yeah, helicopters, Yeah, I mean, we didn't go on when we went to Las Vegas. I don't trust them. Don't trust them at all.
No, this is why they kill so many rich people.
They're a bit like bumblebees, aren't they? They shouldn't fly.
Yeah, absolutely not.
That's a cracking shout. That is brilliant.
Foxy, your question, which I forgot to put on the thing, but I've got it here. A Foxy Friday singles your current earworm, or
I don't even know what that means. So
Filter and Foxy, tell us about the long lost pub, cafe, bar, social space you still desperately miss.
Yeah, this one was easier to work out the question. So there's one. I used to go on holiday with a mate down in a place called Helford Passage, which is in Cornwall. So if you imagine a night like tonight in July, nice and warm, summer's evening, kind of setting sun, and it overlooked a bay, and there was a pub that sat above the bay, and we used to kind of go out in the day on the boats and just muck about at the beach and stuff. And they, I don't know if you have it in Liverpool, but like Doom Bar, it's a Cornish beer. And I fell in love with Doom Bar in that pub.
It's a decent beer.
It's good.
Don't you get it? You get it in like I remember when I got it. Funnily enough, at Aintree, which is around this time of year, obviously, quite a big bottle.
Okay.
Of it.
Yeah, it comes in like a 660.
I thought that's bigger than a pint. I don't know if it was or wasn't, but it had the perception of being bigger than a pint. This like it's a dark. It's a dark.
Yeah. So this is off the pump. This is a Giraffe Doom Bar, and it was. I was about 18, 19. Only been drinking for 4 or 5 years at that point, but kind of getting into my beers and kind of Doom Bar, Helford Passage, overlooking the bay, summer evenings, no cares in the world, just done A levels and stuff. It was amazing. I've not been back there since for like 20 whatever years that is ago. So that was
maybe don't go back.
No, I probably won't. And Roger Taylor from Queen, if you know that name, he had a house. He had a house right next to it. So it was probably like a 2-minute walk away. He had a house up in the hills overlooking the bay, and he would occasionally kind of pop into the pub as well. So it had those kind of nostalgic memories of it was good times.
I've never been down there. Need to put that right.
Yeah,
Chillwall.
Yeah, Dave, love the 5 ways. Can't get enough, mate.
Oh, I can't believe I just said that as well. My missus lives, the mum's lives in Chillwall. Like what? Cornwall.
Cornwall.
Chillwall's great with the bay.
Chillwall sounds lovely place. Got one in from Tangled Up in Blues also, which is come in after and put all the questions up. Dave, I will exempt you from this question.
It's not Tim Howard, is it?
Oh no, actually you can because it's out of Bootle. Best or favourite place to get fast food or takeaway in the city centre?
So I looked at this, and when I don't have an answer to the question, I just answer a different question. So I don't often get fast food in city centre, not being from the city. So I just went like, what places do I like to eat when I come to Liverpool? And my favourite place, and we go there every time if we're staying over, is Luna. So it's a tapas place. It's a bit touristy because I acknowledge I'm a tourist.
Oh yeah, just on Paradise Street.
Well, there's another one. There's that one. There's one on the dock as well.
Sorry,
it's always empty. So we'll kind of go there at 8:00. There'll be no one there. They still kind of serve food to like 10 o'clock, but there's just no one there. So you get like a whole restaurant. It's almost like a private sitting for me and Lynn, and we kind of have a couple of bottles of wine, have some tapas, overlook the dock and the window. It's lovely. I recommend that to anyone like me as a tourist coming up. Go there. It's awesome.
Definitely, I can wholeheartedly endorse that as well. Peter, the fella who runs it's a lovely fella. I interviewed him for work for like we do small business stories, so we interviewed him. He's a great fella. Cop-out, but he's a lovely fella.
I'm not going back.
Yeah, in fact, if you go the Hanover Street one, there is actually a Liverpool badge up by the bar, which sullies the experience a little bit. But yeah, there is.
I've been in this a lot, and I've never noticed that.
But the Catalan Scouse, spot on.
Yeah,
good gear, that Dave.
Yeah, I mean, on that same block, there's Maggie Foo's, which I think is pretty nice, pretty standard sort of noodle type and ramen and whatnot. Ben Brazil's next to it. Anyone who loves meat, really, really nice place. Although the
Fazenda's the one.
No, there's another Brazil. It's got Brazil in the name as well, but that only shut down a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? El Gato Negro, which is
that's right. what was it called before them? Something Brazil.
Yeah, was it Viva Brazil or something?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So we went there just before it, like the night before it closed, and I was like, "This is miles better than the one we've been going to for years." And like, he was devastated. Mate. They did like a scout version of with Brazil taste and stuff in it. But for me, and I have to thank Mike Diashe, Paddy Boyland, and Matt as well, because he lived like next door but one from it, and it's Churrasco. Churrasco is absolutely stunning. Meat, if you like meat, if you like steak, it's almost like I save up because it's really sad, but I get a Chateaubriand every time I go there, and they've upped the prices pretty much every single year. It used to be like 75 quid, and I'm talking like you're getting what you want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I think it's like 85 quid now. So do you know what I'm going to be honest with you? Just like, we'll add the tenner on. But yeah, and any type of steak you want and all that, whatever cut of it, it's a stunning place. And I remember Paddy telling me, or it might be Mike Dash who told me, that the one in Egbert, there's one in town as well, funnily enough, on Hanover Street, on the corner. But there's one in Egbert, obviously right by Loch Lane. And I think Matt, no, it was pretty much saying, it was Paddy saying that it used to be communal toilets that was in and behind it, and they obviously remade it to a fantastic restaurant. So I'd recommend there if anybody's coming into town, go to that one on and obviously basically Hanover Street's like Las Vegas Strip for food. Like we just about
turning public bogs into a restaurant to gamble. To be fair, but fair play.
Certainly worked in the Dave Downey household.
For me, burgers, Almost Famous, incredible.
I've never been.
Great. Hot belter. And thankfully got saved as well from closing down, which is great. We will rip through the hot topic. Where does this come from, I wonder? Worst refereeing decision. It was clearly the offside, and it wasn't Tarkovsky because that wasn't even a tackle. It was a clearance. And McAllister shit out and got collared. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So worst refereeing decision. Stephen said too many to mention, but most important was cleaning at Villarreal. If the goal was given, who knows what could have happened and what team we will be now. Yeah, I agree. Dan got to be Kalina or Graham Pole in the derby. Graham fucking Pole. He blew the whistle when the ball bounced off the back of Hutchinson's head and was pretty much in the street end net. Terrible. And Tangled Up in Blues said Kalina too. Any advance on Kalina?
I mean, just general referees is twats. What's his fucking name? John Moss. John Moss.
Oh, John Moss.
I think John Moss used to get away with murder. He used to get away with all sorts because he was regarded as someone who was not shit as everyone else, but he was consistently shite.
He was crap, yeah.
He was absolutely woeful. Again, not for me to say, but could only move about 10 yards. So he was giving free kicks and all that away from, he
wouldn't move up the centre circle, would he?
Oh no, he was shot. And when he used to run, he was like that kind of runner. He was like, it looked like he was sprinting, but it was on the spot. He's like that, giving it loads in the middle, but he's like moved 5 yards in total. So I'm throwing in there, but he used to get away with all sorts. That fella,
Foxy.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the game on Wednesday, in many ways Tarkovsky was fouled during his clearance. I don't think anyone's really picked up on this yet. So,
right.
There's one from a derby a few years ago where Carragher, I think it was Carragher, just brought, was it Lescott in the box? We were attacking.
That was the Plattenberg derby.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Plattenberg sending Hibbert off.
Yeah, and then
big game on it.
Was it Lescott that Carragher hauled to the ground?
Yeah, he just dragged it, suplexed him in the 6-yard box.
I think, do you know what, Foxy? I think Carragher makes a living out of saying, it should have been a penalty.
All right.
He says it quite often.
Yeah. The other one, like recent, was the Allen one in Newcastle game when he got sent off. And it's like, you never get this yellow card, fair. But that's not been a red since or before. But in that game, it was given. Thankfully, away we came back and whatever. But yeah, that was a shock.
Who was the one who gave the red card to Rodwell when he put his foot about a yard in front of Suarez? Was it Atkinson?
Yeah, on Atkinson, I think.
That was an embarrassment.
Yeah. I tell you what, on that, but I think it was.
That was unbelievable.
That was embarrassing. That.
Yeah.
We'll move on because this will just get us mad. Arsenal are up next for FC Handsome. So Ed has asked, in honor of Mikel Arteta, if you could turn any person, object, or landmark into a buildable Lego model, what would you pick? I've gone for a person. Foxy, what have you gone for?
So I've gone for a bit of a weird one. So you know, in cities, a load of underground streets you never get to see. I'm sure in Liverpool there are loads of underground tunnels and streets.
Yeah,
like Edinburgh, there's loads of them.
Williamson tunnels in Liverpool.
I would love, and this isn't really Lego, but again, I've answered the question as I'm going to answer the question.
this is what I love when you want to answer, which is fine. You know,
I would love some form of Lego that just mapped out all the underground streets and cities and towns and just go. And then you could build the city on top of it, but simplistically, because it'd take a lot of time. The whole underground stuff I find fascinating. The other one I had was more Everton related, was Goodison. I don't know if they do a Goodison Lego thing, but that'd be pretty cool to build up.
That would be very good.
Actually,
I think they do, but I think there is a Goodison Lego, or there's like a form of a Goodison Lego, but I just don't think you can do it justice.
No, what you'd need is like the proper like Star Wars Lego where it's really intricate and you've got every sort of detail.
It would need to be like 200 meters by 80 meters, whatever width it is. And,
the actual size of the state.
Yeah. Put it in your local park and build up over time.
Yeah.
Just on underground cities, one thing I wish I'd done in Paris was the catacombs, and we didn't have time. Because that's
really.
So I'm gonna have to go back. Yeah.
It's really weird, that stuff.
It's such a strange story behind it and everything. Dave.
So I think this hopefully gets the laugh that I intended to. Is the live buildings, which I think Lego do. Excuse me, they do a copy of the live buildings. But I'd have our famous mayor of Liverpool, Joe Anderson, as a Lego character, and inside the live building. So you mentioned there about Star Wars, and you can get the Millennium Falcon, but you lift the top off, and all the areas are in it. I'd like to do that with him there, load of cash in his hand, or something like that. I'd like that, and then obviously the Everton related part of this, which I think this is where I've actually got thrown in a bit of genius, is the top floor of the Royal Live buildings is Everton's part, isn't it? So you could have like the little pictures of Bramley Moore and all of the little stadium it's got in there if anybody's been lucky enough to be up there. And there's a cafe, all Everton related stuff and all that. So that's what I'd throw in there. And if I got that as a Christmas present, but I'd keep the little Joe Anderson. There might be a big Joe Anderson picture in Lego next to the lobster pot.
What Batman character would Joe Anderson be?
He
went live about it.
He'd have to be the Penguin, not the modern one. The modern Penguin. The modern Penguin.
Joe Anderson as the Penguin in the live building, surrounded by cash.
The Danny DeVito. The Danny DeVito Penguin, though.
Yeah.
What would Steve? Is it Steve Rotherham? What would he be? Would he be the Joker?
Two-Face.
Yeah. What a shout. Oh yeah, he could be the Riddler with his fantasy football fun time theme park at Sandhills.
Yeah.
Riddle me this. Get away to Southport, Batman. Fuck knows. I think the first thing that came to my mind was JD Vance, American Vice President.
The
plot twist is every memeable face of JD Vance. The big fat one with the curly hair. Every time I see that. Foxy, it's your question. Do you want to ask it?
It is now. Sorry, this is seamless. Have you ever been mistaken for a cop-out? And this question was I was listening to Blue Monday on Wednesday. I think Blue Room, if you let it like aerate for a couple of days, it breathes and it matures like a fine wine. It's great. So I was listening to that on Wednesday, and you guys are both talking about. I think you're both talking about when you've been abroad, like some accent. I've had this as well. It's less obvious for me to be thought of as a cop-out. So I was outside, I'm going to call it the Dyche Derby a couple of years ago, because still respect Dyche for what he did occasionally. And
that's why you're a cop-out, Foxy. That's why you're
And I was outside the park end, got there early, just kind of waiting for the game to kick off, mulling about. And this guy walked towards me, and he had a look at me like he hated me for no reason at all. And I was wearing my Jurgen Klopp black baseball cap. And this guy was like late 50s, shoulder length hair, looked like a classic freelance architect or something with like clothes that are form and function at the same time. And he walks towards me and he's just giving me evils coming towards me. And he goes past me, goes, "Fucking copite." And I didn't quite catch it. And then he walked past me. And I'm like, did he just call me copite? I'm like, so that's my experience of being outside Goodison, being accused of being a copite by a fellow toffee.
That is grim. I
was wearing the Jurgen Klopp cap at the time, so probably.
It's fine. I've just remembered I once got mistaken for a copite in the toilets of Sherlock's in Birkenhead. Like really, really late. I think it was on some like a Wednesday night or something. It was odd. Don't know what the hell I was doing in there, to be honest. I don't know why I was in Sherlock and Birkenhead, but there we go. That's another story. But I don't know, for some reason. In fact, I don't know if I'd just been to watch Everton v Alkmaar at Goodison, because I had so European games don't shoot me. I like to get a half and half scarf from a European game because I've got no grudge against the team playing.
Yeah.
It's a foreign team. I don't give a shite. So I had this half and half scarf on. I'm having a leak in Sherlock's. And I turn round, some fella looks at me, goes, "You fucking copite," grabs the scarf and tries to choke me with it. Like,
no.
Wow. Yeah, I actually had to headbutt him to get him off me. Because he proper had the scarf pulled like that. So I was just like, fuck, bang. Just butted him to get him off me. I was like,
I just thought you know about pissing.
No, but thankfully, he'd offered me the courtesy of like putting myself away first.
Yeah, the decency.
Well, yeah, you know what?
You were 30 seconds there, mate. I'm going to try and strangle you with this fucking scarf.
Well, I know, honestly, he must have clocked the red on the scarf, and I don't know, it was odd, but there you go. That serves me right for being in Sherlock's toilets on a Wednesday night at midnight or something.
Yeah.
So, it's actually gone now. It's something else. Sherlock's had been a club in Birkenhead. Oh God, I think from probably the 70s. It'd always been called Sherlock's. Same sort of signage. The cinema next door burned down. Sherlock's was untouched. I thought it was like one of those gaffs that would survive a nuclear apocalypse, but it's changed now. It's another shit nightclub. So there you go.
I've got like a real history with this. In fact, if you go on my Twitter today, I've been called a copite for criticising Tarkovsky. But yeah, I mean, I got quite used to it when I worked at Radio City. I had to go. This is very random. I got told to go and interview Steven Gerrard, and I don't think it was. People thought it was going ahead because we got a call off this guy who said he was doing a charity boxing match, and he said it's going to be endorsed by Steven Gerrard, and it was just some half-ass fella who was the manager of, I don't know, I think it was Vauxhall or something like that, Vauxhall or Volkswagen on, the way there's all in is it Regent? Not far from Bramley Moor, where there's various different car dealerships all the way on the road there.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I've got Steven Gerrard endorsing it." And like everyone in the office has gone, he's just chatting on there. And me being a mug, he said, "Oh, do you want to go down and see if it's happening?" Then Dave was like, "Oh yeah, okay, go on." And there's me at like, well, how old was I? Me mid-20s who just got a break, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, go on." I'm really enthusiastic. So you were like, "Yeah, go ahead, Dave. We're gonna."
I know that feeling, Dave. I know.
Oh yeah, one of them. Anyway, I got down there, turned into the car park, and there he is, Steven Gerrard, sat on the bonnet of his car.
Oh yeah, you told us this. Remember now? Yeah.
I've got a photo with him. That's the point where I was regarded as a copite, and it was just before the Bastards derby when he scored 3. When he scored that hat-trick.
Oh God,
yeah. It was just before that, and it was either that or the League Cup. And I'm sitting there interviewing him, and it was really bizarre because quite clearly whoever was working at the Echo had the same idea of sending like work experience because they didn't think it was real. They thought it was some piss take. So I'm sitting there with some kids from the Echo, someone else from the, what's your one, Whittle Globe. Yeah. And I'm sitting there like that thinking, I've got free reign here because these kids aren't going to have the bottle to ask a question. Just sat there for like about half an hour with Steven Gerrard. And the fella who's doing the boxing event next to him started fuming because I didn't ask him one question at all about this boxing event. And he's absolutely seeing at the end, and he's like, don't you want to ask Stephen or myself about this boxing event? I was like, oh yeah, sorry about that, mate. Like, got a couple of minutes with him or whatnot. And yeah, I put a photo out of it, as you do as an enthusiastic young journalist, and one that, at my point, I didn't want anybody to know I was an Evertonian. Funnily enough, I think many might have heard this before, but I was really reluctant to start the Blue Room because I didn't want to be associated as a Blue in order to make a career as a journalist. That went well. So we'd got a picture with them and all that. So obviously I've been thrown it so many times about being a cop-out, but also I think many of our contributors would say that I don't hammer them anywhere near as much as every Blue would. I don't have a level of bitterness against them that many others have.
So
that I say personal reasons, but I don't know whether it's sort of like me to go stereotypically, well, half my family's Reds and all that sort of thing. I mean, I can't stand them. I absolutely can't stand them. They knock me sick. The club and a lot of various things about that football club, which means I'll never go there ever again, which will be detrimental to my career approach. But I can't stand them. I feel like I always need to declare these things whenever I've said, oh, that was a good goal he scored. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we said the other day, didn't we, about the goal that Jota scored, and we said aside from the offside, and
it was a good goal.
And me and you looked at each other like, yeah, it was a really good finish. The way in which he made it and all that, really good finish. But I think even that, in regards to what Foxy was saying there, you just get called it. I think either out of frustration from our fans and just gone, you're a fucking cop out you because you didn't run on the pitch and twat someone. You know when people have got their own level of wanting to stay.
It's sliding scale.
Yeah, so I mean, and the other thing as well, people once said to me, I did a show every Monday, 6 till 8, with Neil Atkinson called It's All in the Game.
I remember it. I enjoyed that. It was good.
Well, you're a cop-out. But like, I was coming out and like a lot of people liked it. And you know, Neil Atkinson, I'm not going to go too far actually. Neil Atkinson's a good guy to me personally. Anyway, I'm going to be get called all sorts there, aren't I? But what the end up doing? What?
Shall we move on?
Well, yeah, but I'd just like to say that. Do you remember when they had I don't know if they still got it. We had the Toffee Gill. They invented the one called Big Red.
Oh, the
Mighty Red, Mighty Red, the live build and all that.
Yeah.
Someone decided to do some Photoshop with me on Mighty Red, holding the head like I'd just took it off to smile. Someone decided to do that, and many people thought it was real, that I was actually Mighty Red.
Oh, that's
and
incredible.
I started getting ripped apart. And all of those guys at the Anfield Wrap and all that are like, oh yeah, Downey's definitely Mighty Red. Do you know, I never forgive people for saying and thinking that I was actually Mighty Red. So that's where I've been called cop-out on many occasions.
That's much worse than I thought it would. So just quickly on Gerrard, I take it you didn't ask him what his favourite pancake filling was. This leads us nicely on to the next question from Stephen. What is your funniest interaction with a footballer / famous person? Foxy, you are a man of the stars. What have you got?
So I keep it with Everton theme. So this is about 6-7 years ago. Maybe not funny, but it's funny in retrospect. You know, the iPhones, the batteries used to die dead quickly.
Yeah.
So I was at an Everton game. I can't remember which one. And then I was outside with Ben when the players used to park in the park end car park and kind of walk out after the game. And you could take pictures with him and stuff. And Ben had a cap with him and he wanted to get Pickford's signature. So he went across to Pickford. Pickford took the cap, signed it, and then he picks up Ben, turns him around to face a group of adults who are opposite him, and looks for the parent who's got the camera phone to take the picture, because that's what you do with every kid that's lined up there. I was like, oh shit, my phone's dead. It's run out of battery. I can't do anything. So I got my phone, took a fake picture of Ben and Pickford. I went, thanks. And he walked on. Which is something that Ben, because we've not met Pickford since, it's not a common thing to meet Pickford, and Pickford being Pickford, he's like the kid's favourite player. And it's probably like the thing that Ben most holds as a grudge against me as being a poor parent.
Does Ben know this? Or
he brings up on a regular basis. We've got the cap up in Ben's room. So the cap that Pickford signed, 6 years ago, is up in Ben's room. And it's a reminder of the time that I failed to take the picture of Ben and Pickford together.
Is there just an empty photo frame next to it?
I should do that. I should definitely, just a black screen because my phone wasn't working. I should definitely do that. Definitely.
Dave, have you got a quick embarrassing interaction? We've got 10 minutes left, but we've got
So I'll try and keep these anyway because there's a couple here. Pickford, when we were at Brighton, which seems to be like the middle of every story we tell, Les, in away games. Pickford comes up to me at the end of the game because we were on front row. Comes up to me and gives me his gloves, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Give me his gloves, and then I was like, oh, thanks very much, Jordan, and all this. And he says they're not for you. I was like, he says they're not for you, and pointed at the little kid behind me. So I'm turning around and had the gloves and still, when you're just reluctantly like, fuck's sake. Do you know like you've seen about when you watch the baseball in America?
Yeah,
where one of them catches it and all that, but then you see the crowd fighting to try and get it. And I think one time there's a video that's quite famous where some fella literally gives everything he's got in his life to catch it in front of a 5-year-old and doesn't give the ball to. I felt like that was going to be me.
One of them was full kit as well. The kids with a full pick for the kit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've got an infamous picture of me snarling as he walks out. So yeah, I've got that. In fact, I might put it in as what the photo is. This episode. Also, Adi Akinbayi, the famous, slightly shit Leicester striker. I was sat next to him at a snooker event in Blackpool, and he was a really nice guy. And do you know what? I thought for someone who's a shit footballer, I'd have thought you'd be a bit of a bellend. Because
is he the big, massive cop-out?
Do you know? I don't think. No, that's
Akinfenwa. Sorry,
Akinfenwa. Yeah. So if you don't remember,
I know what you mean. Sorry,
he didn't score for about 200 games. Then scored one, ripped his top off, and he was an absolute Mr. Universe.
Yeah.
Anyway, you sat next to me, and he was sound. And the final one, anyone who's listened to me in the past, was Ian Snowden. Maybe it probably doesn't count because I worked with him every week, but we went out and got absolutely shit-faced on Matthew Street. I ended up putting him on my shoulders, and we had one of the best nights ever. And Kev Sheedy come and met up with us, with one of his mates, and I can't remember some of it. We got that bladdered, and wasn't there a restaurant? Wasn't there a boozer on Matthew Street called Blue something? It's something blue. It's not obviously not an Everton-related thing. It was called.
That rings a bell.
I can't remember. Someone will say it.
Yeah,
we went in there, mate. And honestly, I've never been that bladdered in my life when I was with him. And again, I've got a load of photos of that. But Snods, Kev Sheety, absolutely shit-faced. And you get to a point in the morning thinking, did that really happen? Obviously, with Snods, it did because we do the regular show and all that, but. Kev Sheedy coming out with a pint and all this, I was like, this is pretty good. This, you can't get much better than this actually happening.
Belter. Yeah, we all need a night out like that, really.
Oh yeah, we really do. And I'd love to find this little kid who's no longer a little kid and get the gloves back that are rightly mine. And he's probably sold them for all sorts on eBay when Pickford had an amazing World Cup. Little shit.
Stevens, one of these was him and his dad walked past Slaven Bilic when he played for Everton. He was injured at the time, so his dad said, "Will he be back soon?" He said, "Yeah, in a couple of weeks." And the next week he went to West Ham. So good opportunity for an ITK there.
He's absolutely lying, saying he was ever fit.
Oh God, yeah, exactly. Mine was Chris Kamara getting a lift off him in the car park of Elland Road.
What?
Yeah, I've told this one before as well. I was sat on the same table. We had like a corporate thing at Elland Road for an England game, and we were in with all the players. So the free bar, the free food, and all the players were in there, like the old former players and that. So I was sat next to Chris Kamara and his missus. So he went off like doing the rounds with all his football mates. I was just talking to his missus all night. So I think he was eternally grateful that I'd sort of kept his missus occupied while he could just like, you know, do his footballer thing. And then I was with my boss at the time. We were in the car park at the end of the night. We hadn't booked a taxi. We were just like, how the hell are we going to get back into Leeds city centre? We're looking around in the car park, lost, and I just get a shout across the car park, Les! And Chris Kamara's like hanging out the front of his, like, to get his Range Rover. Do you want to lift, mate?
Yeah. Do you know, there's been a few videos on there recently about Soccer AM. Do you remember Soccer AM at its peak? I used to love Soccer AM.
Yeah.
And he'd go to Kamara, whichever ground he was at, and he'd always started by saying, "Oh, we're at the home of football," and he did it at Goodison, and it'd never, ever, ever get allowed these days. Neither would the Soccerette. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
And he goes in, and all the shirts, and in our changing room, all the shirts, and he just turns to Tim Lovejoy and goes, "I don't know about the rest, but Everton's number 7's definitely bent." And mate, do you remember it? I was like, you see it now, you're thinking, how on earth? It shows you how far we've come, that, doesn't it? You know?
We've definitely regressed as a society in many ways.
Yeah, where I'm definitely a copite is several nights out with John Aldridge, which absolutely. No, mate, I've been called a copite pigeon nonce and everything.
I was going to say the pigeon bothering copite.
Probably deserve it.
One other one from me was the Zuzu Mailbag breast cancer charity slip up.
What?
It was quite an instance. When we were recording in the tower, she was. I said, "Have you got anything to plug? Any gigs coming up?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're doing. What was it? Festival?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "That sounds a bit dodgy." She goes, "Yeah, it's a breast cancer charity event." It's like, "Oh. All right, sound." Mike the Asher fell off his chair, laughing his head off at it. He's still got the clip, actually. For a tumbleweed moment, it is right up there.
Fantastic.
Honestly.
Do you know what? I'm just on a side note. I miss Mike the Asher so much.
Yeah, maybe we'll get him back on one day. Maybe.
Yeah, stuff. I know he's retired, hasn't he? And he
has retired, but you know what? You know, all the best players come out of retirement at some point. Quickly go to Bristol's top feral trolley spotter. Chris has asked, given the glorious weather, describe your ideal picnic. What's in your butties? Will there be mini Scotch eggs? Let's just quickly rip through what you're putting in. I'm basically doing a charcuterie, to be honest.
So Birkenhead. Well, no, Upton. Some weirdo.
Yeah. More West Wirral than Birkenhead, that, to be honest. I'm just a ponce now, aren't I? Been to France once, have I? Fucking hell.
All right. Go on, Foxy. You go first.
Well, I'll keep it on the West Country theme if Chris is from Bristol. So you can have a pasty in there. An array of mini pasties.
Oh, shout.
Within it. Scotch eggs. No. I'm not for
me.
Scotch egg. Yeah, just like the furry and the like weird in the inside, and there's a bit of it. The egg's often quite dry, and then you get like kind of weird, outside.
All I think about as well is Keith from The Office, biting into the Scotch egg. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, so I think the Scotch egg is massively overrated. A mini pasties, array of mini pasties. I think anything with chocolate on. So if you got, like the corn flaky, crispy chocolate things, or anything that's kind of, like the little
good. Good to finish off.
The little boxes you get from the co-op or other supermarkets that are equivalent to co-op, that you kind of get the kind of range of small chocolate things are good. And then in terms of the sandwich, again, I keep it quite West Country, being that's my roots as well. You got to have a version of a Ploughman's in there, so like a cheese and pickle thing. As I've moved further north, I had in a slab of corned beef. And that is my homage to the Midlands from the southwest, moving further up.
Corned beef and Piccadilly is elite.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, defo. Good shout, Dave.
Okay, I'm just writing mine down here now. Yeah, so
I didn't wonder what you were scribbling there.
I'd have
the
your little tub, and I'd have cut in half, but with some of the crust taken off pork pies with salad cream.
Here we go.
Salad cream, yes.
I know Maggie's gonna hunt me down for saying this.
Is Maggie anti-salad cream?
I'd throw in, and it has to be this specifically, wafer thin honey ham.
Not chunky ham, not chunky. But
not if it's chunky, I will throw it at you. It has to be wafer thin, right? With
even told
with pickled onions in there as well.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I'd just put it in there, and the same as putting it in a blender. I wouldn't take that much of a step. I'd put it in
miles of extension cord in a blender.
Just shake a lot of it up, right? Flip it off, spoon. Love a bit of that. And then I'd also go for jam butties and Nutella butties as well.
What type of jam?
I'm bog standard strawberry jam, to be honest with you, but I would throw a bit of cream in there. And the one thing I did miss that'd be in my Tupperware would be Dairy Lee triangles as well.
By themselves?
Yeah. In the mix. Me mix.
We've got like a laughing cow thing. And my wife...
they're the rivals, aren't they?
Yeah, she'll eat the laughing cow by itself. And I think that's all sorts of wrong. So having that individually, if you put it in a nice cracker, great. Put it on some bread, that's my standard lunch. But eating the laughing cow by itself, that's all forms of madness and should probably...
I can see both sides of this argument.
Well, I'd like to just add in that when I was on or the diet I'm on now, and I haven't done it recently, but on the Atkins diet, which obviously is low amount of carbs as you can get, my lunch used to be wafer thin honey ham with Dairy Lee just spread on it. But when you put it on there, the texture of it isn't really a spread because it comes out the fridge, so it's a bit weird, sort of sticky. So I put it in there and get me a few slices of the honey roast ham and squash it. So like the other ends of it'll come out. Do you know what I mean? So you could take like a little lick of it at the end, and then like you fold it up, and then it's in there then.
I'm loving your enthusiasm for this, Dave. I can see how much you genuinely love that.
I'll show anyone this, honestly. We'll do a show on this in the Dave Downey kitchen.
Yeah, let's do that. Dave Downey's kitchen disasters during the summer. Sorry, I'm going to sound like a right fanny now as a real man off. Some Serrano, ham, chorizo, and salami. Here we go. Some brie, bit of blue cheese, and some grapes.
Oh, blue cheese, mate. Blue cheese is not acceptable.
Mate, that was great. Tremendous.
Blue cheese is awesome. Blue cheese is awesome. But Les, have you ever put those things together in a picnic? Genuinely, have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about like it sounded like a couple of cheese experts there. What I ended up having around Christmas, and it was really nice, was camembert.
Yeah.
With cranberry.
Yeah, that's boss.
Oh, and it was really, really nice. Like I tend to like to melt most things, mostly cheese. So I melted this and threw all sorts in it. You know what I mean? Just whatever I can find, like bacon, whatever. Throw it in there. Give it a good shake. Spoon, let's go.
Yeah, Foxy, I have done that. Basically, if our version of a picnic is to just get a load of Ponzi meat and cheese and go and eat that somewhere, like in a field or something, or on the beach, usually. Yeah,
well done.
Ainsley Harriet there.
Some San Pellegrino as well, because I'll probably be driving. So, keep it up. Jam, cream, and scones to finish as well, but I wouldn't do that at a picnic, too fiddly. Right. I'm afraid we're out of time. I'll have to finish Maggie's Roundup Part 2 next week. The questions aren't time sensitive; they'll hold. But I will finish off on Maggie's last question. Will Les and Dave remember to post this on YouTube?
No, this isn't right. This is not right, because this is not my responsibility here. The podcast goes out almost immediately after every show. And then Les decides to put into the company WhatsApp group oh, I'm in London, or oh, I'm in Paris.
I wasn't.
He tends to blag that he's doing a European tour of some Nancy cheese, and then the YouTube doesn't get done. And there are many, and admit this, Les, I've messaged and have said, let me know how you do the YouTube, and I'll do it for you. And you've never done so.
Well, it's not hard, but I'm sure.
It clearly is. If I'm asking, that's no excuse for our viewers. Our viewers, listen, and I'm delighted Maggie's brought this up.
Well,
she's spot on.
Do you know what? I can only apologise. I won't take another holiday again. I apologise, but the good news is, for YouTube Mailbag fans, we'll upload 2 this weekend. See you later.
That's just by coincidence and luck more than anything else, guys. But I would like to give you my tribute to our listeners. You never miss a Dave Downey podcast ever. And I don't know whether that's a good thing.
You're getting 2 episodes this week, down to just sheer hard work and my love for all of you. So there we go. Thanks to everyone who sent questions in. As ever, as I said, Maggie, we will get to your roundup part 2 next week. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Foxy. Enjoy the sunshine. Go and have yourself a Ponty picnic up the top of you.